squeal. Right, well, this is the first time we've put this tent up, and as you will have hopefully seen, the outer goes up first, 3 poles, and peg it out obviously. The inner clips in at the corners, the 4 corners, there's a clip, and then toggles around. The top central one at the front's red, and central one at the back is yellow, so that you can get it in the right spot first time. And now it's got a ground sheet I'm just gonna peg, which you just hook onto your existing pegs outside.
Hello and welcome to the great outdoors. It's finally here. We're actually out doing a wild camp. Seems like an absolute age since we done one. You'll see by the beginning of the video we started off in Dovercourt, did a bit of a recce around that area, but where we've had so much rain, and to be fair, the tide's been so high, there literally didn't seem to be any feasible place for us to camp tonight. So we've moved down to an area that you may have recognised from our first ever video we did. We're over on East Mersea camping. So it's quite nice to be back here. It's a nice area. It is quite cold, despite the fact that the temperature suggests that it's around 4 or 5 degrees. I would suggest it's colder, and they reckon it's not going to get much below 4 or 5 degrees, but I find that hard to believe. I think it will probably go down quite a bit colder. It's lovely to be back here, to be fair. We've been saying for a while we wanted to come back here, so it's nice to be back. As you can see by the video, we have a new tent, as mentioned in our last video that we'd have one. This is the Viso 2, made by Outkit. It's a large tent, as you can see. It's a large 2-man tent with a whopping great big vestibuled area, which is what we like. It's not light, it's over 3 kilos. I'll put up here exactly how heavy it is, and it's 3.2, something along them lines anyway. So it's not particularly light. It's not going to be a hiking backpacking tent. It's going to be more just for our wild camps. We're also hoping it's going to be more for more winter weather, due to the fact that, to be fair, it is, you know, going to be quite chilly, and it has got a lined inner rather than the mesh inner. And it has got vented areas in it as well of mesh, which you can zip and unopen. But as you can see, it's quite a large tent. We will show you it more tomorrow morning in the light, because obviously we have set up sort of in the dark almost. But it's very easy to put up, as you would have seen. The only movement we had is where we wanted it. We decided that because the wind wasn't that bad, this is the view we wanted from when you looked out, because it looks out towards East Mersea itself. And obviously to our left you've got Point Clear, stroke St Joseph, and directly behind there you've got Brightlingsea. And then over there, can't see it obviously, we've also got Rowhedge, and I think it is, or Fingering Hoe, I can't remember now. But anyway, it's great to be out. We had a nice little walk earlier, as you would have seen as well. Got a little bit of drone footage so far. We may try and get it up again tomorrow, but all I will say is it's absolutely great to be back. We've got a couple of bits and pieces we're trying out as well today, Christmas gifts and things. The light that's on here at the moment, this is a different light to what we normally use, and I've also got a pair of softy trousers to try out, which Kelly has as well, the old army softy trousers. My kids were nice enough to buy me a pair of them for Christmas, and I've also got a pair of booties. Mine aren't down booties like Kelly's, mine are this synthetic booties, but I have tried them at home. They seem very warm, so I think we're all going to be pretty warm. Well, I am anyway. Kelly probably not. And also this coat, which was bought when we went to Wales, and to be honest, I've never worn it. I call it my sleeping bag coat because it is thick, so it'll be nice to sit here with. Anyway, we're going to finish putting everything inside the tent, putting the sleep mats in, sleeping bags, things like that, and getting everything ready, and then we'll probably bring you back when we choose to cook ourselves some food. So bring you back soon.
First thing I'm noticing putting these mats in is that the tail end is quite a bit narrower than the head, than the door end, and so luckily we had planned it to sleep this way, but I think we're going to be sleeping with our heads at the door end, because otherwise I think our shoulders would be quite cozy down the bottom, but our feet will be just fine. There we are, we're all set up. Our mats are in, our sleeping bags are in, and our bags of clothes and bits and bobs. I've also bought our down quilt because I think I'm going to get chilly tonight, so I've got another layer. We've got barbecue pulled pork, one of the fire pot ones. Not had it before. Remember to take the oxygen pouch out. Always a good idea. Right, dear.
How much am I doing?
It's 450ml you got to put in.
I've got 500ml, so just got to leave a little bit at the bottom.
Yeah. It says hold it at 0.6, and that should be the correct water level, which I'd say is about there. Does that look about?
Probably.
Dribble there?
Well, no, there's more than a dribble.
No, I think that's one. Give her a stir.
Right, well, I'm having a meat full pasta, boil in the bag Wayfarer meal. Yeah, I've had them before. They're probably one of the nicer things to eat, like these camping meal wise. I've had a couple of the fire pot things in the past, and I had a little while ago had the Decathlon spaghetti bolognese. It was passable, but there's not much to them. I know they're supposed to have the calorie intake and that you're supposed to have, but yeah, I didn't find they filled me up enough. This fills me up a bit better, but there's nothing better than cooking your own food. And predominantly now we've decided to be a little bit less walking, camping, and more either a wild camp or doing a nice hike, more so than anything. We'll be able to probably cook more normal food, I would imagine, so that will be nice. As for the fire maple stove here, we have used it before and it has been alright, but we've left it lying around a little bit, not used it massively, and to be quite honest, the igniter doesn't seem to want to work very well, and it doesn't seem to heat the water very quick at all. So whether or not I could still recommend buying one after a period of time owning one, at the moment I would have to say no, unless it's the gas, because we have been refueling. We've been taking the smaller gas canisters like this one and refilling them up using a little valve we bought off the internet. Now I'm unsure whether the gas we're using is particularly good or whether it gets, I don't know, whether gas gets damp. I don't know, don't really know about these things, but don't know whether it is the gas. We will try later, we'll try boiling the water with this is a new gas can completely. It's a new one, it's never been used, so we will try using that, see if it's any better. It's obviously not going to make any difference on the actual igniter. Don't know why that's not working. It's making a noise, but there doesn't seem to be a spark coming out of it. But yeah, not looking great for that at the moment. Even though when we first couple of times we used it, seemed okay, but now I don't know. Been lying around not using it, shouldn't make a difference, but it's made some form of difference, obviously. Anyway, I'll bring you back in a bit maybe when we're eating.
I was just coming back on to say, because I'm generally not a huge fan of the dehydrated meals. I tend to find them a bit sawdusty. And I initially opened this to think that I had, I don't know if you, can you see that? I might have underdone the water, but in actual fact, I haven't. It's actually really tasty. And it feels like a substantial meal that you're eating. It's got the rice in there. This is an extra large serving, so I'm sure it's going to fill me up nicely. But yeah, a fan of this one. Mind your trousers blowing towards you.
Hi and welcome back. Yeah, as you can see, we've got a bit of a fire going. We are on a beach, I'd like to just add, as you probably already are aware. We have dug down in the sand, so we're not scalding the earth. And I have dug down to where it's quite wet as well. It's not ideal. I mean, we wouldn't normally have fires like this. but we will make sure that we put it back so it doesn't look like anything's ever happened here. We have tried to do it on the sort of beachy part of it, so you know, we're not damaging any plant life or anything like that. I've got my softy trousers on at the moment. It's the first time I've worn mine. They are really warm. I will agree with Kelly on that. They are proper warm. Mine I'm probably going to need to take in on the top a bit. They are a bit big and they keep falling down. But they'll do. They're all right for now. Like I say, it will just mean taking them in, possibly moving the button inside to make them tighter. Just move it over, unstitch it and stitch it a bit further in to make them a bit smaller. I've also put my thermal socks on as well. My feet do feel a bit warmer now. You can half notice the difference with that fire, like massively. Despite the fact it's not a big raging fire, you can notice the difference on the heat. This coat is unbelievably warm. Yeah, I don't. It's an animal. It's an animal coat. As I say, we got it in Wales, and I've never really properly worn it, to be honest. I mean, also another thing that helps is this. This is basically like a neck warmer, but it's sort of fluffy inside. My sister bought me this a few years back, but this is very warm. I've never really worn this out on a camp. I've worn it out for walks and stuff like that in the past, but never for a camp. But you can feel the difference it makes. And obviously, without a shadow of a doubt, you've got the rab hat, which you've all seen me wear before. Does keep you very warm, especially when you've got no hair like me. So yeah, I mean, it's a really nice evening. It is cold. I mean, it's not freezing, but it is cold. But there's not really a breath of wind at all, to be honest. There's nothing at all, and it's not supposed to be windy at all tonight. 10 mile an hour, I think, was about the biggest it gets, which, as we all know, is nothing. But yeah, well, I'll bring you back in a bit, you know, when anything else might happen. Hello and welcome back. Fire's pretty much gone out now. It's 10:30, and to be honest, what we've decided to do is do something a little bit different to what we'd normally do. We've decided we're going to have a little walk just on the spit of where we're camped, because the area is not massive. We don't plan on having a big long walk anywhere. We're just going to walk up that way and around, because I noticed when we were walking in there's a little beachy area over that side, so we're just going to have a little wander around there. And then we plan on doing something that we wouldn't normally do, because it's quite chilly and Kelly's getting a bit cold now as well, and the fire's gone out, and you can notice the difference once that fire goes out of the temperature. I mean, I'm still warm, but I can notice, you know, without that fire, the temperature has dropped drastically. That we're gonna probably pull down into our pyjamas, our night gear, crawl into the tent, and we've bought a little card game called Exploding Kittens. I'm sure some of you all know what that is. It's quite a fun little game. Two of you can easily play it. We brought that with us, and we're going to lie in the tent and just play that for a little bit before we turn in properly for the evening. It's very cloudy. You can't see any stars, which is a bit disappointing in one way, but in another, not so. In the way that if it was a clear sky, I would imagine it would be even colder, and there'd be a very good chance of frost. Or yeah, so you know, that wouldn't be so great. As per usual, wouldn't be us unless we did something a bit wrong, but not really got that much to drink. I've got about a quarter of a bottle of Lucasade left and a can of cherry coke. We have water. We've got plenty of water, to be fair. Probably got about another litre and a half of water at least, I would say, maybe 2 litres. But the coffees I bought, the little sachets of coffees that most people tend to use, and what we use quite a bit, every single one of them well out of date. Some of them out of date by a very, very long way, to be fair. So that's a little bit annoying. So no coffee or hot chocolate. So that's another thing, is keep an eye on the dates on them things, because we bought hundreds of them and they're all out of date. Yeah, so I'd keep an eye on them, because I thought the dates would be a lot longer than what they are. Anyway, we'll bring you back in a bit when we go for our bit of a walk. Hello and welcome back. We're now in the tent, all packed down out there. Everything's now in the tent. Just gonna have to go out there when we choose to go to bed, just to sort out that fire pit so it's all tidied up and, you know, looks like, you know, leave no trace. We've just been having a little bit of chat regarding the tent, to be honest, and what we thought of it, our first impressions. Now we're inside it and we've had a little look over it. It's a really good tent. I mean, the vestibule area is amazing. It's huge, such a big area. It's a good workable area you can use, even with the bags and all the stuff out and not put back in the bags, just left on top over at the back there. You've still got a massive area to sort of use, especially if you happen to have bad weather. You know, you could easily sit in there if you want, not on a chair as such. You'd have to obviously sit on the floor, but there's plenty of usable space there.
It's the whole width of the door, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole width of the door, yeah. But also the other thing that we think is massively good is that it has a footprint for the vestibule area, a proper fitted footprint which hooks in the corners of it. And that's something that we massively like, because it's something that annoys us with the other tents that we own. Whereas the tent that we had previous, our first ever wild camping tent, that also did have a hookable thing in it, which, you know, we think does make a lot of difference. I know some people it doesn't bother them, but it's the, you know, getting dirty when you're out there. You can kneel out there, sit on it, and you don't get a dirty bum or dirty legs. I just think it's a better option. I mean, not everyone thinks the same, but it's something that both me and Kelly both are on agreement of. And the other things that I wouldn't say dislike, but little niggles we have. We don't like the fact you have your head this end, but because it's a tunnel tent, predominantly it's always going to be lower one end than the other, and that is just how they are. So, you know, that's a bit irritating, but
I think it's more the limitation of the way you have to pitch the tent if there's a slight incline.
Yeah,
in the ground
you've
or
got to
something.
make sure that you pitch it in the way that you, yeah, that
Keep your head above your
yeah,
feet.
basically.
Yeah, just in case.
It's the pockets, I suppose, if you was to be picky. All you've got is 2 triangular pockets either side here, which predominantly are normally ones for stuffing your doorway into. That's not brilliant, but, you know, quite a few tents don't have many pockets. You know, it would have been nice to have had one at the foot end, maybe, could have been quite good. But, you know, again, that's a very small, niggledy thing. Doorway unzips this way towards the actual doorway of the vestibule, which I think would have been more sensible to open that way. But again, ventilation isn't bad in here. As we've said earlier, this is all material, so I think that will keep it a bit warmer in here. You've got a meshed section at the bottom, which leads out to another mesh section on the outside to let air in, ventilation, and then obviously on the doorway you can unzip it, and there's mesh on the top part of the doorway to let ventilation in, which predominantly most of these sort of tents have that kind of thing, which is quite good. I suppose if you were to be really picky, the fact that there's only one door on the vestibule would have been probably quite nice if you could have had one on both sides, because I know other tents that are very similar design to this do have 2 doorways. But, you know, that's being very picky. You don't need 2 doorways, especially with a vestibule as big as that one. But yeah, I'd say that's probably about it. There's lots of space. On a positive side, there's a lot of space, even in the living area. It is a proper 2-man tent, whereas I'll be honest with you, quite a lot of 2-man tents are more like 1.5-man tents.
Yeah, even our Cloud Peak is snug.
Yeah. I mean, in our Cloud Peak, these 2 mats would be pushed right against each other, both sides as well, and pretty much top and bottom. There's a very small amount. Whereas in here, you've got, well, hand's width like that of space in the middle, and there's also space at your head end and your foot end to store clothing, things like that, because predominantly you will store most of it out in your vestibule, but you know, there's some stuff that you prefer to get a little bit less damp maybe, and you'd have in here.
I think this is probably the first tent I've ever thought it would be not concerning to cook in the vestibule area.
Yeah, because it's such a big area.
Yeah.
If you unhooked, and obviously you'd open the door as well a little bit. And the door has a double zip mechanism on it, so you can actually open the vestibule door, just you could open the top of it if you wanted to vent it, which again would be quite good for your cooking. And it's got a really quite sort of 2-3 inches of material that are elasticated round over the top of the zip, so you've got no worries about water leakage inside there, and by doing that it allows you to open the top as well a little bit if you was to need to cook in here, so that's quite well designed. And I'll be fair as well, the price point of the tent, I mean, it's an Alp kit, so it's made by Alp Kit, which, you know, from our understanding is a relatively decent brand. You know, we've been in the Alp Kit shop before, and their stuff looks, you know, all of it's of good quality, and the whole tent seems to be properly seam sealed, and it is a very good quality tent. And how much was it?
I can't remember, sorry.
I think it's around
150, wasn't it?
I think it was less than that. I thought it was about 120.
Oh, was it?
I'll put a link to the tent on the top of the screen, like where you can go and get it. I mean, it's in the Alp Kit store, basically. Go there and it'll give you the price there. But it was either around 120 or 140, I think, something like that.
Clearly, I thought I'd spent more on you for your Christmas present.
But yeah, it's a good. I think it's going to be a good tent. I mean, obviously the time will tell we've got to use it a bit, you know, tonight, sleeping in it. We'll see, you know, if there's anything we find that's a little bit irritating, you know, or whatever, or stuff that we didn't realise. I mean, it's got 2 hanging points for lanterns. You've got one at the front here and one at the back. I suppose if I was to be a bit nitpicky, I would always prefer a lantern point to be in the middle. But I guess I understand why it will be where it is.
It's been put where it's connected to the outer, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think, you know, it looks like a good tent. And as for, I've got my booties here to wear. As I said earlier, they are synthetic ones, not duck down or anything like that. I think they were about £6 off of Temu. But it's the first time I've used them. I've worn them indoors just to see how warm they felt, and they did feel quite warm. But
They'd be warmer than not wearing them.
they'd be warmer than not wearing them. They are the same material all round, whereas with Kelly's, they're 10 top ones. The bottom of them has a slightly thicker, more wearable material at the bottom than it is all on the sides. It's more elasticated on the top, if you want to be precise with it, than what these are. These are just loose, they're not elasticated at the top, whereas they are. So they're gonna, those ones, but then they were probably 3 times the price of these. But Kelly suffers massively with cold feet, and that they have been a godsend to her.
Yeah.
But then she's also someone who'd probably wear them in like the summer. She's even been tempted to wear them in bed before she's thought about it. It hasn't happened yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. Anyway, we're gonna play a little bit of a game, of that Exploding Kittens game, for probably 15-20 minutes, and then we're gonna go off to bed. Hello and welcome back. Good morning to everyone. It's actually a really nice morning. When we first got up, the sun was out and it looked beautiful over the sea there. It looked really, really nice. A lot of people down here with cameras taking photos of birds and stuff like that. Yeah,
quite busy. It's been. There's been dog walkers as well, but predominantly lots and lots of people. At one point there must have been 5 or 6 all around here taking photos because there's some bird down here.
Snowdrop or something.
Snowdrop, snowflake.
From Iceland.
And they very rarely come to this part of the UK. Yeah, it was a good camp. We both kept warm, which is massively big for Kelly because it was quite cold. I would say it wasn't below freezing, but it was, I would say it's got to be at least 3 degrees, I reckon, and that is what they suggest on the Met Office. But we were warm. Admittedly, Kelly was, as you probably saw and heard, I know she told you that she was in a sleeping bag and in her a duvet, basically. But yeah, and I wore this coat and softy trousers as well. Yeah, so yeah, we kept warm. The tent was brilliant. We had massively worked out that the inner inside that tent does hold a lot of your heat in there, because we noticed when we were opened up this morning how cold it got and how quickly it got cold as well. So the tent was a big success. I mean, at the moment I'd definitely give it a thumbs up. It was definitely a worthwhile purchase, I believe. Still, nonetheless, the pockets, we decided, in particular last night, decided they were useless. They're little triangle pockets, as I said last night, ones that you'd normally stick your door into. They're not really any good for storing anything. Whatever you put in them, they tend to just fall out. So they weren't that brilliant. Condensation, there was a bit inside the inner tent, which doesn't completely surprise me because of how solid the inner is, and we didn't have all the vents open. We literally only had one vent open the whole time we were in there, and obviously with the temperature the way it was, our hot breath, you know how it is. But I mean, it wasn't dripping, it was very slightly damp on the roof of the tent, of the inner, and the outer was very, again, there was a very slight mist of it on the outer, on the vestibule area.
Oh, I don't know what you're saying.
But that was about it, really. Beyond that, I mean, we can't really say how well it would hold up in harsh weather because it wasn't harsh, it wasn't windy at all. Well, it was barely any wind. We'll say that the tide was high. I mean, really high. I mean, it literally, like I say, about 1:30, I got up and it sounded like it was almost right at the door. It wasn't quite that close, but where you can sort of possibly see the seaweed line on the side here, it was right up to there where it drops off, and then you can see where our tent is over there. So, but it was a really, really good night. Enjoyed it. It was nice having the fire. The fire made a massive difference in warmth. It was even nice just having the little 10-15 minute little stroll around this spit area. Was quite nice, because we don't normally do that kind of thing. And we got in the tent a little bit earlier than we normally would and had a little game of cards, which was nice as well. We had a really good time. Well, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. It's been a long time coming for another wild camp, but if you could like and subscribe to our channel, it helps us massively with all the analytics and things like that, and it gives us the oomph to do more and try and get better. So anyway, we'll see you all in the next adventure. Bye for now.
jumping up and down.